Hi everyone, I wanted to make a video today on mindful presence and activism. And I wrote something this morning and it just flowed, and I've been thinking about how we bring mindful presence to ourselves so we can kind of activate the different forms of activism to make changes in the world. So I wanted to read this out to you guys. So I wanted to start with the fact that we are seeing unprecedented times right now. Every day in the news, we are hearing about violence and the infringement of human rights. It is difficult to watch, but it is an opportunity for us. When we are moved emotionally by what we see, there is a seed of wanting to help make the world a more peaceful place. And that is when we become, I believe, activists of the heart, I like to call it. This is where mindful presence comes in. We attend to our caring, activist hearts. We pay attention to our hearts in a non-judgmental way, to see the compassion inside that is pulling us towards action. We learn to cultivate it in ways that do not make us fall into helplessness, because it is so easy to fall into helplessness. If we become mindfully present with the compassion underneath the anger that we feel, we make space for this wonderful human trait. We start to see it in ourselves underneath the anger, and we also start to see it in others as the core of really who we are. We start to see compassion as fuel for action. This is a sustainable fuel, I believe. It doesn't burn out like anger burns out. Anger can kind of heighten, reach its peak, and it can burn out, and it can burn you too. It's not that we ignore anger. There's actually a place for anger, and I've shared that in my other videos. But compassionate action, or compassion energy that we use towards action, is like a sustainable fuel. It burns gently, it burns patiently, in a very balanced way. No amount of wind can blow it out, and this is the magic of our hearts, compassionate caring. We see it when we have the intention to see it. When we make the intention to look at that compassion within, we're going to see it a bit more easily, and we can become present with that. In the Buddha's teachings, compassion is described as the quivering of the heart. And I love that definition, because if you really sit with your compassionate heart, you will feel the quivering inside. And the quivering is a way to bring movement, to bring change, to bring peace into the world. It's a very tender, visceral response to witnessing suffering in ourselves and in others. The heart that refuses to remain indifferent. That is what compassion is. It is not indifference. And we can easily fall into indifference at times when we feel helpless. Quivering is very courageous. It's an active force when it arises. And it's a shared universal vulnerability that we all actually have. It is also the bridge between feeling deep emotions like anger, sadness, shame, and taking wise action to alleviate distress. So allowing yourself to be moved by pain rather than turning away from it is the start to turning towards compassion as well. And we can use the RAIN technique, like I have shared in other videos: recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, towards our own suffering, as well as we can bring the practice of RAIN to our compassionate heart. Can we recognize that compassion in our heart? Can we allow it to be there and not see it as a form of weakness, but seeing it as a form of strength to investigate what that feels like inside and to nurture it, to help it to grow. We are trying to grow compassion. We are trying to make compassion last as long as we can, but we have to cultivate that inside. There is a type of compassion called fierce compassion that Kristen Neffs talks about, and I will share the link to her work. If you haven't already read her work, it is on self-compassion, but you can also apply it to compassion. And so the self-compassion piece is a tender compassion, but also there is a fierce compassion, and the fierce compassion, I believe, is what moves us to action. And then the last thing I wanted to share is that Pema Chodron says even the cruelest people have this same soft spot of compassion. And I know that's really hard to see nowadays, and it's hard to believe. But when we explore our internal world and we explore our own internal compassion, and we realize it's the core of who we are, then it is the core of every single human being that we come across. They have this soft spot. And they may not have cultivated it, or they may not know how to cultivate it. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that if we are trying to shield from pain or make it go away, we put up these protective walls, right? Like opinions, prejudices, strategies, barriers, that they are all protective walls. And so in order to cultivate compassion, we also need to, and I want to emphasize this so strongly, face our own pain and our own suffering. Okay, because when we face our own pain and suffering, we don't turn away from it. We are not putting up so many protective walls. We are softening towards ourselves. We are softening towards this human trait, and it is a beautiful human trait. So I want to challenge you guys this week to kind of make the intention to see and feel the compassion within your own hearts, and then use that as fuel to take action. A compassionate heart is an activist heart. So really contemplate that and practice that. And if you have any questions or comments, please comment below. Thank you.